All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Hitting the Bars with your co-host, Savannah. And you know what? It's a solo episode. What is up? Keltie and I thought it would be fun to have a few solo episodes here and there, just to get to know us individually, and we can just chat with you as if we're having a cup of coffee with our friends. So I thought it would be fun. I'm going to kick off the first one with a couple questions Keltie asked and then a couple of questions that you guys asked. But really, we're just going to hang out for a little bit, okay? And I'm new to this, but honestly, I am known of a girl that never stops talking. And I can talk to myself all day long. So you're in it for a whirlwind. So this episode, hopefully you like it. Let us know if you do. Please leave a review or go to our Instagram, Hitting the Bars, and let us know if you like solo episodes. If not, right on. That's totally fine. I personally prefer a co-host. And now looking back at this, I think it'd be extremely hard to have a podcast on your own if you didn't have someone to banter with. Let me know your thoughts on that, because I do listen to a few podcasts that it's just them chatting and it seems so natural and they don't skip a beat. And I'm like, how do they do that? Because it is fun to have a little bit of banter. But then again, I guess we can banter with ourselves. So with that being said, let's jump into the 5 questions Keltie had for me. We thought it'd be fun to kind of make them fitness related, drinking, going out related, maybe a personal or girly tip, something random and funny, and lastly, a life update. So why not jump in with the first question that she asked? You're only allowed to train one muscle the rest of your life. What are you training? Okay, so really what she's saying is she wants me to be specific. If I could train one muscle for the rest of my life, probably be my shoulders. I am a big shoulder boulder gal. I love shoulder day. I also think I like my shoulder days because I pair it with high intensity cardio that I just love. And there's just something about feeling really empowered, especially as a woman, when you can go up in your weight when you're doing like a seated shoulder press. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like, you have such heavy dumbbells that you almost have to kick them up with your legs. That's what I like. I don't know why. I've always just loved growing my shoulders. I've loved shoulder exercises. It's any day of the week I would prefer to do shoulders. I like back, cool. You know, like triceps, cool. Glutes, cool. Shoulders, sign me up. 2, what is the worst drink you ever were given at a bar? Oh my goodness. So I was in college and it was so fun. So Washington State University, I've talked about my college here a few times, so I'm sorry if it's overkill, but there was this one bar called Stubblefields, and we would go on Tuesdays, and it was called Stubby Tuesdays, and they would give you these humongous, like, almost large martini glasses. I'm talking like bigger than the size of your head. They were $6 to buy this glass, and when you bought the glass, you also got a drink, like your first drink free or whatever. But everybody would bring their stubby glasses to the bar on Tuesdays, and you just drink. And the belief was if you went on a Tuesday, they would fill those big stubby glasses with like 4 shots, 3 shots. I honestly don't know how much it was. And they were like $7 a drink, and you just have a good old time. And you know, after like a couple of those, you were very turned. And it was a Tuesday, so you had school the next day or work like me. But it was one of my fondest memories. I went with my friend Mark. Coincidentally, Mark is the one that introduced me to my now fiance, Michael. Mark and I were like 2 peas in a pod. We had classes together. We had the same major together. We were always like inseparable, always together. And we went to Stubby's one night, and we were sharing a Stubby glass, and he ordered a Dirty Shirley. I had never had that, and he was like, "Sav, it's so yummy. It's a Shirley Temple with vodka." And I was like, I don't know how I feel about vodka in my Shirley Temple. Like, I'm somebody that I don't want to mix alcohol with like sweets. Like, I don't want alcohol in my ice cream. You know, like those alcoholic floats? No, just give me the ice cream. Like, don't let it ruin it for me. So I said, okay, I'll try it out. I absolutely hated it. It was so unnatural. It was like 10-year-old me was colliding with 21-year-old delinquent me, of me just smothering anything in vodka and calling it a good day. So that was probably the worst drink I was ever given at a bar, and you will never catch me drinking those. But needless to say, Stubblefields was so fun. Stubby Tuesdays, if anybody went to Wazoo, you know what I'm talking about. Sadly, I think they're out of business because of COVID. So it was a small town. So when COVID hit, a lot of the places got shut down, sadly, because all the students left. So I don't think it's there, but my mom does still have my Stubby glass, and I'm pretty sure it's her candy bowl now, which is comical. All right, number 3. The one skin hair product or service you cannot live without. Honestly, guys, I am not a big, skin, hair. I wouldn't say I'm not a big self-care person, because I am, but I'm not a big, skin routine gal. I feel like I've talked about that on the podcast. That's definitely more Keltie's up her alley, but I do love any serum for hair growth. That sounds extremely weird. I actually have one with me. Do I? Oh, I don't have it. Okay, I thought I had it with me, but it's a serum that I bought years ago. I don't even know the name of it. I wish it was next to me, but basically when I would go to the hairdresser, my hairdresser was like, Sav, are you cheating on me? Are you getting these haircuts in between our sessions? And I was like, no, I'm not. Why? And she's like, well, your hair's coming back shorter. And she realized that it was so dry that the ends were fraying and the ends were splitting and breaking. So I would come back, and this is why my hair never grew for years. I'd come back with this damaged hair that was split and frayed, and she'd have to chop it off all over again. And yeah, I would just come in with less than I even had when I first came to her. So because of that, she said, let's try a hydrating serum. So the serum that she gave me, I'm going to post it on the Instagram page. I'll put it in a story highlight, but I love it. I've had it for a couple of years. You just do a dollop on your hand. You only do it when your hair's wet, and you just kind of run it through your hair, and you really touch on the ends of your hair. Never touch it on your scalp, nothing like that. Just the ends of your hair. It smells amazing. It smells like it just came from a salon every time I use it. It is truly one of my favorite products. And I promise, head to the stories on Instagram in a highlight. I'll link it for you because she's my saving grace. And my hair actually did start growing. Anytime I get a hydrating serum, that is my go-to with my hair care. Just because I do have such tough hair. I don't know how else to describe it, which is weird because I have naturally straight hair. I don't curl it. I don't use heat products. I think it's because I always have it in buns. So I just think there's a lot of damage maybe with hair ties and things like that. So I also switched to a silk hair tie because of that, which I know Keltie is a big supporter of. All right, we've got 4, and that is a story of a crush you had on someone in elementary. Okay. I don't know if anybody can relate, but I was an awkward girly in elementary and did not have a boyfriend, was scared to talk to boys. I definitely had crushes, I'd have the classic journal, and I'd write their last name to my last name. So I definitely had the crushes, but I never won. Never had a boyfriend, nothing like that. Way too socially awkward. But I did have a crush on this one man. And his name was Randall. And I thought he was so darn cute. I must have been 4th or 5th grade, okay? Keep in mind, these boys don't notice me. I was not a cool girl. I just secretly had crushes. And it was math class, and I was sitting next to my friend. This is so embarrassing. I'm exposing myself. I bend down. I drop a pencil. We all know where this is going. I bend down. I let one rip. I let it rip accidentally. So loud. This is back when they had projectors. What is it? Overhead projector. So they basically, early 2000s, your teacher didn't have whiteboards, or what were they called? They're not, everybody has them, where they're a whiteboard, you can erase it and it's just electronic. So you're not actually drawing anything on it. At that time, there was an overhead projector where basically she had this light that projected, and then these blank sheets of paper, and you could write on them and then erase them with a cloth. And that's how we did our math problems. It sounds ancient, I know. We didn't get whiteboards until I don't know. I don't even think it was in my elementary, maybe end of elementary. But anyways, it was really silent because she's doing this math project, or doing this math program. Wow. I'm struggling. Guys, I'm low-key nervous doing this solo episode, so bear with me if I'm a little awkward. But she's doing a math problem, so it's quiet. We're talking it through. Miss Ol' Savannah lets one rip, and I just remember I look straight up and I look dead in the eye, Randall, okay? And it was so embarrassing because obviously I dealt it if I'm staring straight at my crush, staring straight at somebody, right? It's like the perfect storm. I bend over, it just makes sense, okay? We're not going to go into detail, but I already did, so that's embarrassing. And I remember my friend at the time was next to me, and she like leans over and whispers, "Why did you fart?" Which, first off, it was an accident. So, why? Great question. My body couldn't help it. And I was so embarrassed, I denied it and said that was not me. And I don't know if I ever told her it was, but it was pretty obvious. It was the classic girl that bends over, okay? Just toots it up. So that's like one of my most embarrassing stories, but I have multiple embarrassing stories of my adolescent life. So the last question is wedding details or provide a mini vent session is what she says. Wedding details, the details is Michael and I are going to Cabo, and that's where we're getting married. We're going to do the cake tastings. We're going to do like a photo shoot with the photographer to see how she shoots. I have no idea. I'm going to do a makeup trial. We're going to do all that fun planning. Taste testing is really what I'm most excited for. But I've had so many issues with my venue, guys. Let me just vent to you guys. So first things first, this venue like has these two areas you can get married. You can get married on the beach. I'm game, but Michael doesn't love it. Or you can get married on like this beautiful terrace that overlooks the water, and it's stunning and modern, and we're like, perfect, let's get married there. Well, I started seeing these photos, and there's like these leaves, and like they're not just little leaves, they're large leaves, like bigger than my body, that they place, like these metal rusty leaves, and they place it right where you're gonna get married overlooking the water. So in these photos, it looks like people are like behind bars, like these bars are behind them, and it just ruins the beautiful scenery of like the infinity of a pool and the water, and you know, you're paying for that view. And so I asked my planners, hey, can you talk to them? Can they just remove the leaves? Because I've also seen a lot of weddings handled there without the leaves. And they say, no, we refuse to remove the leaves. And they're like, why? And they're like, we're going to keep them there. But it's super easy to remove. So I've been finding on this venue's Instagram, these people that are like sharing their stories, and like in the tiniest area, you'll see that place where the leaves are, and the leaves have been removed. Okay. And I timestamp it and I send it to my planners and I say, the leaves are removed. They're not permanently there. Do you think they can remove them just for 15 minutes, just for the ceremony? I'll make it quick, okay? Just got to say I do and got to run out. And they went back to my planners and said, no, we just took it down for hurricane season. We're going to put them back up. And it just seems really odd to me because if I would have known this, I probably wouldn't have booked this venue because I did want that area to get married. And since they can't provide that, we're kind of like, you know, we already put the deposit, so we're going to have to get married there. But I would never recommend this venue. I have just thought it was such a nightmare to deal with them. And I just think it's very odd that like usually the customer, you can be like, yeah, no problem, let me remove it. And it literally looks like someone could just hand remove them. And you know what I plan on doing on my day of wedding? Is I am going to chuck those over. If I can get my hands on those before, like 15 minutes before my ceremony, I'm going to throw them over. I'm going to say, this is what you get, guys. But really my hopes is we get to go to the venue, we get to meet the event planner at that venue and just see like, what's your reasoning behind being so difficult with these random leaves? Like, what is the big deal? Why can't we just remove these ugly, large palm leaves? Please, like I'm not a bridezilla at all, but I can't get married there if it's just going to look like jail bars behind me. It makes zero sense. And you guys will see the photos and it will make sense, okay? So I'm not going to expose this venue, but needless to say, once you see, don't go to this venue. That's all I'm going to say is they are not treating me right and I'm not okay with it. So that's my little mini vent sesh. Other than that, wedding planning is going great. It's fun. Honestly, I do not care. I'm like, I want calla lilies. That's all I know that I want at my wedding. It's a significant flower to me. And other than that, I'm a happy camper. I'm like, do whatever colors you want, like just make it pretty, and I will not be a bridezilla, but I will be one about the leaves. So I don't know if that's ridiculous or not. All right, jumping into the very fun part of your guys' questions. I just asked on my Instagram, savright_. Savannah Wright was weirdly taken, okay? And also a question, please DM me your thoughts on this because I don't know what to do. So I'm going to legally be changing my last name because I am to be wedded. I'm going to get married. At first I was like, I don't think I'm going to change it because I do love my last name. But I do like the idea of unity when it comes to your significant other and being, a family, especially if we ever do have children, for them to have the same name as us. So I decided to take Michael's last name, Hummel. But I'm like, do I change my socials? Do you change your socials, or do you keep it like even on Facebook? Do you say like Savannah Hummel and then like I've seen people been like parentheses right? That way like your high school friends can still look you up or something like that. I've always wondered this. So if you've gotten married, let me know what you do, or even if you don't change your last name. I personally don't think I'm going to change it online, but legally I think I'll have Hummel, Savannah Hummel. I don't know. I'm like, I love my last name, Savannah Wright. So Savannah Hummel is a tough one for me to accept, but I'm excited because I get to be Michael's wife. So it will be all worth it. With that being said, you guys asked, how did you know Michael was the one? And like, honestly, I've been asked this question and I don't know. In the sense of, I think it's very cookie cutter when people are like, oh, this one thing, or, like cheesy. Not cookie cutter. Cheesy is a better way to put it. Where, if I'm being honest, I don't think I had I don't think I had an instance. There we go. Wow. Words are hard today. Of being like, you are going to be my husband. But I did have this one time. I was going through a tough time in my life with, I don't know how else to word it. Like, I was dealing with medical issues, and they basically had found a lump in my breast, and I was so incredibly nervous because my family does have breast cancer, and I was just going to get a, ultrasound just to check it. And it was just let's just be safe. But they were like, you're extremely young, but let's check it for safety. And I think I had like a week and a half until I could have my ultrasound, and I was so scared and anxious. And I remember Michael really was there for me. I remember I got home, I just started bawling my eyes out, and I couldn't even breathe. I was trying to tell him what happened, and he truly was there for me that whole step of the way, making me feel so loved and cared for. And I remember like him literally like cradling me like a baby, like at night, and like rocking me to sleep because I was so scared. And I think in that time, and I honestly don't even know if we were engaged yet because we've been engaged for a long time, but those moments, moral of the story is those moments made me realize like, I want this man on my team. I want this man on, to potentially be the father of my children, to be my life partner, because he is like one of the most loyal people you will ever meet, almost to a fault, with friends that may not treat him right, family that may not treat him right. Like, he will do anything, always, like, to do, he just will give the shirt off his back for the people he loves. I've always looked up to him about that. He's very selfless when it comes to anything with life in general. And we have like been there for each other when we have these, medical scares. And I just think that is somebody I really want, is someone on my team that will be there for me when push comes to shove, when you're so nervous, and listens to you. And I don't know if that summarized that question up well at all, but if I had just had a spouse that was just like, oh, you'll be fine. Like, I just don't feel like they would have heard me. I wouldn't have felt heard or seen, or my feelings would have been validated when you have every right to be nervous, right? So that is how I knew he was the one, is those little things in life that he does that I'm like, I appreciate you, and you're the one that I want to tell. And I think I only told him and my mom. I think that was the only people I had really talked to about that situation. Let's see. Next question. What advice would you give someone just getting into working out. So my advice would be, do not rush everything at once. This is a lifestyle. And I also think it's great to have goals. I think we don't normalize that like you should be able to have physique goals. You should have these challenges. There's nothing wrong with that if that's what you want to do. There's people that bodybuild, right? And it's a time and a season, and I think that's great. There was a season in my life that I was cutting, or there was a season where I was really dedicated, and right now I'm traveling and I'm having fun and I'm enjoying it, and I'm not as invested into working out. I'm not going to sweat it like today. I'm not going to be able to go to the gym, and I'm not going to sweat it. It's okay. So there's nothing wrong with those seasons of your life, but if you're just starting to get into working out, one, I think that's fantastic. Two is do your research in the sense of like how, not necessarily like what movements, what workouts to do, but like how can you make it achievable and sustainable for your lifestyle. So if you want to get into working out, how many days of the week do you have time? Maybe you have children, maybe you have school. Like how can you fit it in? Because just because your favorite fitness influencer works out 5 days a week doesn't mean you have to work out 5 days a week, right? Like that's their occupation. They probably have time to do it. So really research what's realistic for you. Research what workout split is realistic for you to do, and listen to your body. I don't know if that is descriptive enough for you, but when you first get into working out and want to change your lifestyle, you really have to listen to your body so you don't burn out. Also, connect yourself with a community. If that is going to a gym, if that is doing a workout class, if that is telling your family or friends, have a community that has your back, because you are who you associate yourself with. And if you have friends that don't prioritize working out, that's okay, but also know like you do want to be surrounded with people that have similar goals towards you. They don't have to have the exact interests as you, but like health as a goal, health as a lifestyle, to have someone that is behind you and gets, okay, you want to go to the gym, or hey, I support that. I think that's fantastic, because when you first start working out, you're going to get the haters. You're going to get people making comments being like, oh, you're now a fitness girl. You're now a gym rat. Like you're just going to have so much backlash, and just know that it's always their internal problem and that they are dealing with something. Maybe they're not growing. Maybe they're not changing, right? Like we're not meant to have the same hobbies for the rest of our lives. We're meant to change. And it's great that you are, and they may just feel a little left behind, and you could be honest and say, hey, I need your support, or you could slowly just give them space during this time that you're working on yourself. And there's nothing wrong with that. Easy go-to healthy meals. Okay. Easy go-to healthy meal for me is oatmeal. I love oatmeal. I love protein oats. I love putting peanut butter in my oatmeal, cinnamon. I put lots of fruits in it. That's like an easy morning staple I've done. I also just love eggs and toast, avocado toast. Dude, I do that every day. A great, easy, go-to healthy meal for dinner and meal prepping is enchiladas. Guys, I make a mean enchilada. They're all over my YouTube channel. Go check them out because, guys, it is fantastic. It probably is like an hour of prep work in the sense of maybe like 30 minutes to prep it, 30 more minutes to cook it. But it is amazing, and I have made like 3 sheets of enchiladas before, so we had leftovers for like a week, or maybe I had friends over and I made them enchiladas and then we still had leftovers. So that is something so easy for me to meal prep for Michael and I. Is you can have an enchilada for breakfast, just throw an egg on it. You can have it for lunch, and you can have it for dinner, okay? Fantastic. 10 out of 10 recommend enchiladas or chicken salsa verde. Get this recipe. Preheat the oven to 350 degrees. It's either that or 400. I can't remember. I haven't cooked in a while because I'm traveling, okay? You take a deep pan and you put 2 or 3 chicken breasts in the pan. Then you pour salsa verde. You can get, any recipe. You can get it jarred at any store. Pour the salsa verde over the chicken. Let it bake for like 30 minutes. It's going to be like nice and moist because it's been baking in that salsa. And then you're going to pop on like mozzarella shredded cheese the last 5 minutes and let it melt. Then put some cilantro on. Oh, it's so good. Sometimes I serve it over rice, or even I'll serve it in like a salad form. And it is so easy and so tasty. And you have like 3 ingredients really? This one's fun. Want to dye my hair a fun color, but I'm afraid of the damage. How was your pink experience? So if you guys don't know me, I had hot pink. I basically moved to Miami from California and I just needed change. I was going through a lot of change already. I had picked up my life that had been planted there for 4 years and moved to Miami not knowing a soul except Michael. I was going through some stuff. So I said, what's gonna fix this? Dyeing my hair. And I had literally never dyed my hair other than like a blonde balayage. My mom always taught me don't touch the roots, things like that. I was never allowed to like dye my hair really as a kid. So as an adult, I'm like, I kind of want to try pink hair. I didn't know if it was going to look good. I didn't have any inspo pics. I just said, let's dye it pink. And honestly, I thought my hairdresser, her name's Paola, and I love her. She's become one of my good friends. I thought she was just giving me a balayage of pink. No, she dyed my whole head pink. It was, to this day, my favorite hair color. I love how I looked. I just think it was so spunky and so beautiful. But the one thing that I didn't like was the hair care. The like aftercare is very annoying when you have bright colored hair. So keep that in mind. Is I had to keep going back to get it dyed every probably 4 weeks, and I was not able to wash my hair often. Otherwise that pink would just bleed right out, especially in chlorine. So you have that beautiful vibrant pink or whatever color you have when you first get it dyed. It's gonna fade. You will never have it that bright after the next couple days, and then just slowly fades from there, which faded pink still looks pretty, but it looked very dirty on me. So I only loved it if it was vibrant, and so that's expensive. Personally, I didn't see any damage with my hair, but what I did see damaging was in order to get that vibrant pink, because my hair's brown, she had to strip the color and had to dye it like a silver, think of like Game of Thrones type of white blonde hair in order for the pink to be so vibrant, and that damaged my hair for sure. I would recommend that if you want that bright hair color, because if you have brown hair, black hair, you go in, you want this bright pink hair. It's probably not going to be achievable realistically. Blonde is going to take it better, but that does damage your hair over time. So honestly, I've never really asked a hairdresser what their thoughts were on my hair, but from my understanding, my hair was just fine. So if you want to do it, 10 out of 10, recommend, go for it. Just know there's a lot of aftercare and it could be a pain in the butt sometimes, but life is short. You can always dye it back and your hair will grow back, right? Like, I get it's annoying to damage your hair, but for me, I was just like, why not try it? Like, if I don't like it, I'll chop it off. If it damages it, I'll chop it off, whatever it is. It's just life is too short to worry about that, okay? Next one is, what are you most excited for in your wedding? So Michael and I are getting married in February, and I am so excited to just have a big party with everybody I love. Michael and I live very far away from our family, okay? We live on an island, so we don't get to see our families often. I'm very close to my mom and my dad. I'm very thankful to be close to them. I know not a lot of kids stayed close with their parents after, they moved out, whatever it was. I feel like I got closer to them when I was an adult because they treated me like an adult. And we treated each other like friends, opposed to, my dad grounding me and my mom reprimanding me for not picking up my clothes, whatever it may be. So I love the idea of being able to have all of our parents, all 4 sets, because he has divorced parents as well, all 4 sets live in 4 different states. So Christmas is stressful. We're like, where do we go for Christmas? Like, no one is near each other. So for us to have everybody we love in one area is so, so special. And of course, I am so excited to marry Michael. But Michael and I have been together 7 years. I feel married to him. And plus, we're going to get married prior to Cabo because I don't think legally you can get married in Cabo. I could be wrong, but to save the headache of like dealing with actual marriage, we're just going to go to a courthouse, get married, and then have the ceremony, have the actual wedding in Cabo. So for me, it's really just having this big celebration of everybody that loves Michael and I and that have seen us in our relationship and grown with us. And that's what I'm most excited for, is to be able to spoil our friends and family with this fun wedding, spoil us with this fun wedding, and it's just a big old party. I just want to throw a big party, okay? Most awkward gym story. Okay. So I have this one, and I don't know if I shared it on the podcast. I don't think I did. If I did, then just fast forward. But basically, Michael and I were working out at this UFC gym in Huntington Beach, and it was like still during COVID, so they had everything outside. We were allowed to work out outside, and I was using these cables, and there's like two sets of the cables, right? Like you can take the left side, one can take the right side, unless you are hogging both, which it's unnecessary, honestly. So this guy says, can I use your other cable? I'm like, yeah, no problem, go for it. So he doesn't even start the cable. He just starts striking up a convo, being like, hey, I'm new here. I'm like, welcome. My name's SAV. This isn't my normal gym, but, it's great. Gets the job done. He's like, okay. And he starts talking to me about his life and where he's moved from. And I'm kind of like, really neat dude, but I kind of want to get back to my workout. Like, I'm not here to chat. And he ends it with, hey, let me get your number. We should work out together. Better yet, let's go grab dinner. And I was like, and I said, I don't mean to be rude, but I am engaged, and so I'm not interested. And he looks down at my hand, and he goes, I don't see a ring. And I'm like repulsed because one, I don't need a ring to fend people off. I don't need a ring to tell guys I'm engaged. Like, I'm not going to wear my ring in a dirty outdoor gym. That's just like not something. I don't have a silicone band. Like, I don't care about that kind of stuff. Like, having a ring or no ring doesn't mean I'm not engaged, right? Like, I have no problem saying no. And what if we didn't want to have rings? That's just like a cultural thing that we have rings, right? So there's no law that you have to have a ring. At least I don't think so. But I laughed and I'm like, I don't need a ring to prove that I'm engaged. Like, he was pushing back on it as if thinking I was lying, which also, if I was lying, that's fair. Just go about your life. I'm clearly not interested. But that was probably the most awkward one, because then he proceeded to work out beside me. And he also asked, where's your fiance? And I was like, oh, he's over there. And he was working out with his friend Max. And he didn't know where I pointed. And there were some like really scary looking UFC guys in this gym. And he probably was thinking it was these really big muscular guys when it was not. I love Michael to death. He's not the buffest man around, so I thought it was so funny that the reality he'd see he's not a scary looking guy. But yeah, it was really awkward because we had to do the cables for the next like 20 minutes and not talk, and it was just very, very uncomfortable. So that's probably my most awkward gym story. Okay, last question is, what is your workout split routine at the moment? Love the podcast, says Ellie. Well, thank you for loving the podcast. My current workout split, I always have a 5-day split. That, I'm a big believer of 5-day workout split for myself. Keeps me sane. I love working out 5 days a week, but lately we've been traveling a lot, so I haven't really been able to. I'm really lucky if I get to the gym 3 days a week, and that just depends on where I am. Right now I'm staying at my parents' house, so one, they have a gym that's for free that I can go work out at, like their trailhead in their community. They also have a car I can borrow to get there. If I don't, I'll usually go for an outdoor run, but they live in Arizona, so it's been really hot. It's been over 100 each day, so I can't necessarily run in that. I could, but do I want to? No. So I really aim when I'm traveling for 3 days a week. Sometimes I'll pick up a fun class. Recently, I did yoga, and it was like down the street from them. It was the only class for the day, 8:30. It welcomed all levels, and it was a $1 walk-in fee. So if you're ever trying anything new, you might as well like look up the workout classes nearby, look up their drop-in rate. Sometimes they're $20, sometimes they're $45. I saw some in New York that were $45, and I feel like that's really steep, but to each their own. But luckily the walk-in class was $1, and I definitely want to go and support her and pay for a full $20 one. So I plan on going to another class this coming weekend and taking another yoga class with her. But it was so fun. I got to know her, the owner of it. There's only like 3 of us in there, so you got more one-on-one time. You got to see everybody's energies. But yeah, if you're ever just in an area and it's accessible to go try a local workout class, 10 out of 10 recommend, especially if it's affordable like that. She was very welcoming. I told her my situation. I wasn't even from here. I'm visiting with my dad. She still welcomed me. So I recommend that if you are traveling. But that's my workout routine right now. It hasn't been as consistent just because life has thrown me some curveballs and we're traveling right now. So I hope you liked my fun little solo episode. I feel like I've gotten more comfortable with talking to you guys as it went on, and it's so weird because it's funny, you do social media, you do YouTube, but when it's like not your channel, you get really nervous. And almost like, oh, are people going to judge me? I don't even know. I just like in the beginning, I was very, very nervous. So thank you for listening. Thank you for bearing with me. And I hope you liked getting to know me more. So with that being said, don't forget to leave a review and write something funny so we can comment on it. And I will see you in the next episode.